Hey, this is Russell, and we're going to start a new series today. This is a Civilization series, of course. Civ 5. It's the first time I'm uploading Civ 5 onto this channel. I'm pretty pumped for it. So, let me
All
shut up.
hail the most magnificent and magnanimous Empress Theodora, beloved of Byzantium and of Rome. From the lowly ranks of actress and courtesan, you became the most powerful woman in the Roman Empire, consort to Justinian I. Starting in the late 520s AD, you joined your husband in a series of important spiritual and legal reforms, creating many laws which elevated the status of and promoted equal treatment of women in the empire. You also aided in the restoration and construction of many aqueducts, bridges, and churches across Constantinople, culminating in the creation of the Hagia Sophia, one of the most splendid architectural wonders of the world. Beautiful Empress, Byzantium is in need of your wisdom and strength. Her people are lost without your light to lead them. The Byzantine Empire may have fallen once, but its spirit is still intact, waiting to be reborn anew. Can you return Byzantium to the heights of glory it once enjoyed? Can you create a civilization to stand the test of time?
Yes, we can create a civilization that can stand the test of time. So, yeah, this is my first Civ 5 upload onto this channel, and I'm pumped for it. Civ 5, I uploaded a lot of Civ 3 onto this channel so far, and Civ 5 is a game that I'm a good bit better at and have a lot more time, play hours playing it and everything than I do Civ 3. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped to finally be bringing this to the channel. If you guys aren't familiar with what I'm doing, when I play a Civ game, I do it as a post commentary. So yeah, that's what it is. And if the sound sounds a little weird from the game audio itself, that's because it's being played at 1.25 speed rather than just one speed. Like for the whole commentary, I just had it on normal speed, but from here on, I just keep it at 1.25 speed. It shaves off like a good bit of time, and so it's going to save both your time and my time. We'll be able to upload this series in a lot less episodes. And yeah, so it's being played on 1.25 speed, the video itself, and then I'm just post commentating over it. This is an epic game in terms of like time. That's another reason why I wanted to bump it up to 1.25 speed, because it's not a standard game. If I'm playing on epic, I actually prefer to play the game on marathon, but it won't work well for, especially on like a huge map like this, to do it in like a standard game. Marathon is nice because what I like about playing in the longer games is when you play a longer game. Let me put this into words. Every time you're like in an era, it won't be like the next era by the time you march your army across the world. So if you're going to like invade someone or fight a war, it's all fought within like one time period. A lot more can be done in each era. It really stretches the eras out and makes the game a lot better. And I don't know, I just feel like the game is best played this way. I'm not sure if like that was like the intended way to play the game, or like, I'm not sure, but like it's best played on marathon, and I'm playing on epic for the sake of, audience retention and all of that. So yeah, it is a little bit modded. So what we're playing with is Sven's Europe, which is my favorite Europe map currently. And yeah, we're doing Civ Traits Mod, and I'll explain those in a bit, but I want to go to the games so I can explain what I'm doing. We've done a couple things so far. First thing, and most importantly, is we've chosen the Pantheon, and we've chosen Science. Best Pantheon, hands down, especially when you're on a huge map like this and you're going to be building a ton of cities. So really, really adds up over time. And the reason why we're able to have that faith is because of the Civ Trades mod, which I'll get to in a bit. The other thing I want to point out so far, while we watch these barbarians fight, is that I'm going for both liberty and tradition. 80% of the games I play, I do that. Because both the Pyramid and Hanging Guarded Wonders are like the two best wonders you can get early game, in my opinion. Screw Great Library. And also because the things that you get from those two are always going to be better than like pretty much anything else. Like Liberty and Tradition really give you the best boost, other than ideologies. Commerce is very good as being something supplemental. Exploration can be good. Honor can be good. Science can be good, but Tradition and Liberty are considered essentials, and you're always going to go for one of them, if not two. Very rare you're not going to go for one of them. And there are certain cases where, going honor or piety first can work better, I guess, but it's very, very rare. And so I tend to go for both Tradition and Liberty. I find them both very useful throughout the whole game. And I just don't want to leave any of them behind. So, yeah, pretty fast pace because we're playing on 1.25 speed. We've already explored quite a bit. Sens Europe is a mod for Europe. Of course, it's a map of Europe, and we're playing with real starting locations on it. So Constantinople is where Constantinople was in history. There's 20 something factions, a huge map. So yeah, it'll be very cool. Playing on Prince difficulty. Normally I play on a higher difficulty, but because it's the first series I'm uploading to YouTube, it just felt like playing on Prince. So, because I didn't want to make it, too challenging on my first upload. Next time around I'll bump up the difficulty a couple steps up. So I'll definitely be doing more of this. In fact, I've already recorded a lot of another series for this. So you guys can look forward to that on a different map, of course. And then the other mod I'm using, which is a mod I'm probably going to use consistently for all of my Civ uploads, is the Civ Trades mod. Civ Traits is awesome. And Civ 3 has them in the base game. Traits that your leader are associated with your leader that make them just have certain bonuses. Now you could argue that in this game it's like the faction bonuses, but the faction bonuses can be fairly unbalanced. And what this game does is what this mod does is it gives the better traits to the factions that have the worst faction bonuses, and it gives the more subpar traits to the factions that already have very good faction bonuses. So it works as a balancer between all the factions. It makes it so that not all the same factions win out almost every single game. And also this map kind of does that too. It's decently balanced. It's not perfectly balanced. But yeah. So we have the pyramid being queued up as early as possible. Our early game wonders we're going for obviously going to be, like I said, Hanging Gardens, Pyramid. Later difficulties you're going to struggle getting all the wonders you want. Prince difficulty, you basically have your pick of wonders. You can always guarantee the first two wonders, usually. So maybe even 3 wonders, but yeah. So going for these 2 wonders are going to be important. They're what I'm going for. After that, I'm going to focus more so on expanding and all of that. But these 2 wonders are just going to be the base of everything that I'm doing. So I'm starting to explore Anatolia, Asia Minor, and yeah, things are looking good. Starting a location, very nice. We got access to a lot of luxuries. If we settle west of us, there's 4 luxuries actually in one location. We got a natural wonder out there, big volcano, pretty cool. Got some quite a bit of luxuries to settle with down here too in Anatolia. So Asia Minor and all of that. So yeah, that's going to be a target. Of course, I'm trying to keep my scout alive for at least a little while. So he's running back that way to get away from the barbarians. I don't really have to worry about guarding that side right now because I haven't built any improvements. If I did build improvements, then I want to guard it with warriors and stuff. But right now I can just not worry about it too much. I put my scout on the hill so that he has a bit of a defensive bonus. Pretty important to take advantage of all those little things, of course. Keeping him in the plains is a bit more risky, of course. Pantheon founded. Other people are getting Pantheons now. Of course, I already got the best one, and you can usually guarantee that science one, because most people don't go for the science for city connections. Messenger of the Gods. Even in multiplayer, sometimes people don't go for it. But it really is the best. You can't really get a better one. And that's because no matter what city you settle in what location, you're always going to get the science bonus. Maybe on a small map it's not as important, or like a standard game, small map, that kind of style. But especially on a huge map, it really, really comes out, and it helps you over time. Like, the bonus of, like, in perspective of, like, 20 turns, it's not going to make that much of a difference if you have, like, 5 or so cities and you're just getting +2 science per, like, all of them. But in terms of, like, the length of the whole game and how long, like, the whole game lasts, if your game lasts 1,000 turns and every city that, like, you have from turn 100 is going to give you, like, an extra, I think, like 1,800 science. So yeah, it really adds up, Messenger of the Gods, and I think people forget that. I think it's even usually worth it to get Messenger of the Gods over things like the Tundra or Desert Folklore, even if you have a decent amount of desert or tundra, just because I mean, getting faith doesn't really do as much as getting science. You always kind of want to use your religion to buff your other stats, rather than just, like, double down on stats that, double down on religion itself. That's why you go for things like happiness and stuff like that, rather than just getting more faith for the sake of getting faith. Because you'd be sitting around with, like, a ton of faith at the end, and the most you can do with it is purchase, like, a few great people in the end game. Which is still useful, I guess, but it's very much more limited. I don't know. I think the bonuses of, like, Messenger of the God are just way better. So if I can keep that, turn that into a religion, it'll be really, really good for us late game, or throughout the whole game if we can hold on to it. We got the pyramids, so we get a couple free workers from that, as well as, like, just being able to finish our tiles pretty fast in general. On top of the bonus for finishing tiles fast on the Liberty Tree, and, just the sheer number of workers we have, we're going to be able to improve our tiles and get them up and running much faster than any of the other AIs in this game, which is pretty good for us. And then when we expand and get new cities as well, we're going to be able to improve the tiles around those cities much faster. So I just got the bonus for making settlers more quickly, as well as a free settler. So pretty soon here is going to be the time where we're going to want to start pumping out a few settlers. It's good to get the pyramids before, building settlers, because, at this point you can get the settler bonus. It gave us enough time to do that. Of course, I'm going to build an archer first. We got to do something about these barbarians, and if we're going to want to keep expanding. And we're trying to explore. We can see the borders of Greece ever so slightly. So kind of forward settling them is going to work well for us. You can see, by the way, with the Civ Traits, the traits are right next to the name of the different characters and the people around you. So you should be able to see, like, which trait each person has. Alexander has that military trait and the happiness trait. So, and those are pretty good traits too, mind you. Unfortunately, though, for Alexander, he just lost a settler. And that's not good for him. But it's good for me, because it gives me more time to block him off. I go ahead and build a city here, right next to a couple of luxuries from the beginning, and expand. It can expand to other luxuries. So yeah, building these cities is going to be pretty good for me. Monument. Always go for culture first when you can, usually, to start getting more tiles and make sure get a head start on that. There are exceptions to that. Of course, you know, when you capture a city, you want to, whatchamacallit, build like a courthouse first and stuff like that. But yeah, uh, Greece went ahead and weakened them for me, which is awesome. And then I'm going ahead and killing them. And of course, I'm not going to give them their settler back. I don't want them to take places. So yeah, we got 2 workers now from that. So we got a ton of workers. We actually got so many workers that we're starting to lose a little bit of money, but we have so much money at this point that that doesn't really matter. And if I was really strapped for cash, I do have a few tiles that I could probably move my people to. It'd give me a little bit less food, but then I wouldn't be losing money again. We also have to start settling some more. 18 turns from now, I'm going to be able to start work on a hanging garden, so I have time to build a couple of settlers. And I like the pace of this game. I like it that I put it on 1.25 speed. It was a little bit much at the beginning of this recording, I guess, because there was a lot of things going on. But now that things are kind of slowing down a little more, I think the post commentary is going to work really well at this speed. If we, especially late game when things slow down a lot, because there's more units to move and so on and so forth, and more things to queue up, the 1.25 speed is going to feel real good. Tell me what you guys think of playing this recording at 1.25 speed. I like it. Again, I don't want to waste my time or your time having it go at like the full like standard speed. Just because, you know, at the end of the day, what am I going to be doing besides just commentating? We're here to watch the gameplay. That's what we're here to do. So, what's going on? I have to wait till I get calendar to improve those. So, move in there. That scout's pretty much dead, I think. I don't remember if he does die, but I assume he probably does. Gonna go ahead and go there, start the improvements. Building roads, which is pretty important, means that we'll be able to get around between our cities faster, but more importantly, we'll be able to use the effective messenger of the gods, of having all the city connections and everything. Sound effects, I can hear the difference in the sound effects from the 1.25 speed. It probably would have sounded even more ridiculous if I went to something like 1.5 speed. So I think 1.25 speed is a comfortable choice. Went ahead and engaged them there. I'm going to go ahead and move my dudes on top of the hill. They have the Assyrians to our left, or right, or east. There we go. And if you notice, Anatolia is kind of shaped upwards. The reason why Sven's Europe is such a good map, and I'll always recommend it as a Europe map, is because it kind of curves with the curvature of the Earth, the map itself. So the problem, I played a lot of Europe maps, mind you, like maybe like 3 or 4, and I always came back to this one. The problem with the other Europe maps is Arabia ends up being like too small. Egypt ends up being like too small. And Russia ends up being so massive that it's like hard to like even reach the European theater and like actually like have fun and like fight wars and stuff. Like you have like all the space to settle as Russia. And it's a little unfair to all of the countries that like don't have the space to settle. Of course, you know, it's going to be unbalanced in the sense that because I'm like on the edge and it's a Europe-centered map, I'm going to have more space to settle than places like Germany and France and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a little bit better balance. It has Russia in a better starting location where it can be more relevant. And yeah, overall, it's just better shaped, very well thought out with, you know, locations and everything like that. Sven's Europe map is hands down my favorite Europe map, and I will sing its praises and be happy with it. Those are the only 2 things I'm playing with, Civ Traits and Sven's Europe. I don't want to heavily mod it. I don't want to really do modded factions at this time. Next playthrough, I'm going to do another faction. So actually, it's worth mentioning, this is the very first time I played as the Byzantines. The reason is because for all these years, the only expansion I own was Brave New World. And I never saw much of a reason to get the other expansions. A, because I was a broke little kid, like, until recently. You know, I only just recently got out of college and all that stuff. And B, because you get all of the mechanics of Gods and Kings when you get the Brave New World. So like Gods and Kings is supposed to be the thing that like gives you like religion and stuff like that. But you automatically get all of that stuff when you buy Brave New World. So I didn't miss out on any of the main game mechanics. All I missed out on was like maybe like 5 civs by not owning Gods and Kings. But other than that, I could still do all the trade routes. I could still do like faith and all of that, all of the things that you couldn't do in the base game, all the mechanics. Putting my city up on that hill, very defensible position between the mountains. So yeah, this is my first time playing as the Byzantines, and that's one of the reasons why personally I want to focus on playing base game factions for a while before I get into any modded factions. A, because I know they're going to be well balanced, especially with the Civ Trades mod, and B, because yeah, I have a number of factions I've never played as before. So this time around, I'm going for the Byzantines. Next time around, I've already started going through and playing as Spain. So yeah, pretty excited to get through all these factions in the Gods and Kings expansion and experience them for the first time. So that's why I've chosen, you know, this this faction on this map. It's going to be playing Spain on a bit of a different map. I don't want to spoil that, so I'll just leave it at that. And yeah, Gods and Kings. I've played Brave New World since, you know, it came out. And I've always had like those mechanics and everything. So there's nothing new mechanically for me in this game by getting Gods and Kings. It's just, you know, having the new factions, which is nice. We see the Persians. The Persians were actually the first faction I've ever played this map on. And it was like when I fell in love with this map pretty much. Like, you know, and it was a really, really good game. You know, back then it was a very different time and I wouldn't have recorded it, but it would have been a really good game for me to record and post commentate over. I was really happy with how that game turned out. So yeah. I think I had conquered like, you know, almost all of like the Persian Empire's actual borders, if not all of it. So that was pretty cool. We got the guys fortifying there to heal up. We got workers building roads, and you see where there's like a worker Congo line. We've made like a big push to get all of them done. Pretty soon I'm going to have calendar, which is going to let me have all of those like resources, luxury resources that I haven't been able to harvest up until this point. And it's going to make it so that I'll be able to have enough happiness to sustain all these cities. Right now, I just, by building that city, went to -2 happiness. And so, yeah, getting the resources all hooked up in a pretty timely manner soon. The cotton, the citrus, the wine, all of that will be harvested in calendar, and then those cities will be able to grow again. For those of you guys who are not so familiar with the Civ mechanics, unhappiness leads to you guys getting your growth. I think it's like fourth or something like that. You only get like 1/4 of the growth. Maybe it's different. I forget. But yeah, you don't grow as fast with your cities. You get a lot of little penalties, I think, but that's like the main thing. Growth is important. And then if you get to like -10 happiness, you start getting like rebellions with like barbarians spawning inside your land. Which isn't as bad as it sounds. Probably would be worse if you're playing something like Civ 3 or Civ 4. Civ 5, your cities can actually fight. So usually your cities are able to like bombard the barbarians that spawn. They will loot like all of your tiles, and that's like the annoying part of it. But other than that, it's not really going to hurt you. So I'm not going to be struggling with unhappiness anytime soon, because I got the calendar. So I'm not going for things like Colosseums right now. I can go for other technologies. I'm going to be looking at getting into sailing because there's luxury resources to get for that. Like the pearls and stuff like that. Going down that road, we can go ahead and get those things all built up. Stonehenge is a thing, and it's something I can work on. I can also work on a caravan, so I'm going to go for that. Caravans are nice. I usually, for like 90% of the time, just do internal trade routes. Occasionally I get desperate for money and I do like a trade route for money, but getting the bonuses for your food and your production overall are going to lead to a lot more yields for things like money and science and all of that than just getting the trade route straight. So thinking in terms of the long game, it's better to use internal trade routes like almost the entire time. It makes Order a very powerful ideology choice. The whole because they get like a bonus for using internal trade routes. So, yeah. Even if I go for like a trait that like boosts your trading with other nations, I typically don't do a lot of trading for other nations. I mean, an ideological tenet that boosts like trade with other nations. So yeah, we got that built. Things are okay right now between me and Greece. I mean, obviously they're probably not happy that I blocked them off. So they're building up some troops, but nothing really to worry about right now. Stonehenge was built in a faraway land, so it's good we didn't invest into it. Like I said, you can guarantee 2 wonders, maybe 3 at the beginning of the game, playing on Prince difficulty. So usually better not to go for more. But yeah, that's pretty much all we're going to be able to see today. So like, comment, favorite, subscribe if you guys want to see more. Have a good one. God bless.
Like, favorite, and subscribe if you guys want to see more. Always interested in your feedback down in the comment section. You guys have a good one. God bless.